Capital, we're glad to start your Saturday with some college hoops here in Washington, D.C. from Capital One Arena, where Patrick Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas are getting hot, and today they take on the Samford Bulldogs. Alongside Len Elmore, I'm Wayne Randazzo, and Len, Georgetown has won 4 in a row. They do have a pretty formidable opponent today here in Samford.
Well, the Hoyas looking to continue to build chemistry and confidence, and they're playing against a Samford team that likes to get up and down, pace and space. So up-tempo, if that's the type of game you want, you got it.
We'll take a look at the starting lineups. They're presented today by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Mac McClung has won Big East Player of the Week each of the last 2 consecutive weeks. Brandon Austin's been scoring a lot for Samford, but Josh Sharkey, Len, is the one that controls the Bulldog offense.
Yeah, the 5'10 senior point guard, but he's in the middle of most of Samford's scoring.
Terrell Allen has been a big boost for Georgetown the last 4 games. After the departure of James Akinjo, it's been Allen who's been leading the way for the Hoyas.
Yeah, Allen's been the glue guy, a pass first, but he can certainly present a threat offensively.
Omer Yurtseven wins the tip for the Hoyas. We are underway here in D.C.
Samford starts out in man-to-man, and you expect Georgetown to really start looking to get the ball into the paint. Omer Yurtseven has been outstanding in the middle for Georgetown, just scoring pretty much at will over the last several games.
The jumper bounces through for Jalen Dupree, and it's Samford who scores first.
Yeah, Dupree averaging about 13 points a game. He can bring bigs out.
McClung misses the 3. Rebound and a second chance for Jagan Mosley as he pops it up but can't get it to go. And Dupree grabs the board for Samford.
That's a senior leading team right here. A team that certainly likes to put the ball up from beyond the arc. But they've got a guy like Dupree who can match anybody inside.
Turnaround jumper doesn't go for Dupree. McClung the rebound, and Georgetown on the move. McClung gets fouled on his way to the basket. Now, Patrick Ewing, this is year 3 as the head coach of his alma mater and a program that's continuing to grow.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost 4 guys that Patrick Ewing considers the future core, but the opportunity for the current guys has been special, and Patrick Ewing really appreciates the fact that they've gelled as a team as opposed to moved away from each other during that controversial period.
Almost like they've turned into a win-now type of team with the senior leadership they have.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, Samford's senior laden, but so is Georgetown, especially with Allen and Yurtseven, and you can see right there, Omer Yurtseven getting himself involved right away.
He was fouled after getting the rebound. He is among the nation's leaders in offensive rebounds per game, averages over 4 1/4 offensive rebounds per game. That's 6th best in the country. And he's been rolling lately, coming off a double-double against UMBC, 22 and 13.
You can take a look at Yurtseven, what he does as far as comparable to other players in the Big East. Top 10 in just about every category that matters for a big man.
Sharkey leads Dupree to the basket. Nice spin, but he couldn't finish. Hoyas in transition with Pickett along the baseline. Now McClung on the attack, bounces off Dupree. Yurtseven tried to tip it in, but the ball was over the cylinder, so will be an offensive goaltend against Georgetown.
Not a lot of wasted time or motion by either team. They're getting it into the front court and finding opportunities right away. And you got a good look at Mac McClung's athleticism, ability to elevate and change in the air.
Here's Sharkey's athleticism, but he couldn't make the finger roll go through. Dupree on the second chance loses it, and it's picked up by Georgetown. Terrell Allen's got it. Allen tucks on the way to the basket. It's off Dupree and out of bounds, belonging to Georgetown. Well, a college basketball icon on the sidelines for Samford, too. Scott Padgett was a national champion at Kentucky. This is year 6 for him at Samford.
Yeah, both coaches have that experience, winning national championships, both being first-round picks in the NBA.
A foul before the ball was even inbounded. This is one thing Samford can't really afford is foul trouble. They don't have Robert Allen today, who has started all of their games, had a double-double against Alabama. He's having thumb surgery, so he'll be out for the next couple of weeks. It was a thumb injury that happened about a month ago. So Dupree, who could be a big player for them today, now has 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, that is huge because Dupree very effective in drawing Georgetown outside.
Turnaround jumper along the baseline goes over Logan Dye, and Georgetown gets his first bucket of the day.
And Dupree also big and strong, more of an obstacle on the defensive end.
Allen with a takeaway. McClung on the fast break. McClung off the glass for 2.
Yeah, more aggressive is the Hoya defensive style right now. You know, starting to hone in on what they have to do, get the ball out of Sharkey's hands.
Dye fades back and hits the jumper. Good shot by the 6'8" sophomore. Now the ball flies out of bounds. An unforced error there from Georgetown.
Well, we talk about Georgetown's ability to move and to maneuver inside on the post. That was actually off the lane a little bit. But once again, keeping the ball away from Sharkey, trying to get it back with Samford. Georgetown doing a good job of manning the passing lane.
Sharkey fouled on his way to the basket. A foul on the floor. And it's against Georgetown. Terrell Allen will be called for that foul, his first.
His first team foul committed by number 12. Terrell Allen, his first.
And now they'll say actually that it was a shooting foul. So Sharkey will be at the free throw line. All of 5'10", but he is the nation's leader in assists and steals per game. He's also the school's all-time leader in those 2 categories already, still with most of this season coming through. He's a cousin of Jameer Nelson, longtime NBA veteran.
Yeah, last game against Alabama, Sharkey had 15 assists to go along with 18 points. So he's in the middle of just about all of Samford's offense.
Pickett tried to bounce it to Georgetown on the weak side. Instead, it rolls on by and out of bounds. So a couple of turnovers here from the Hoyas, 3 in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's something that Georgetown has kind of avoided during this 4-game win streak. You know, they've been much better at taking care of the ball.
A pass intended for Dye goes out of bounds, so Samford will keep it under the basket. You hear Patrick Ewing's voice echoing through the building as he screams out to his defense.
No one has any excuse that I didn't hear you, Coach. Good hedge by Georgetown.
A 3 misses from Austin. Dye tracks it down, and Samford will try again.
Using that high screen, that hedge is extremely important. Again, try to keep Sharkey out of the paint where he can create.
And another missed 3 from Austin. Here's 7 draws a double team. They kick it out. Mosley misses the 3. Pickett couldn't get the tip in. And now Sharkey on the move for Samford. Padgett stepped out of bounds right in front of the Georgetown bench. So a turnover from Samford. And that is Logan Padgett, the son of Samford's head coach, Scott Padgett. You've seen this full court press early from Samford.
Yeah, Scott Padgett told us you can expect them to pressure maybe about 15 minutes during this game. Maybe less if they allow easy baskets like that, as Georgetown finds the combination to that pressure lock by Samford very easily.
5 points for the big man. You're at 7.
There's a high screen once again, utilizing it, trying to get shooters open.
DeAndre Thomas took the 3. Austin keeps it for Samford. Samford just 2 for 9 from the field. Swing out to Paget. He makes the 3, and the Bulldogs have the lead.
And once again, it was Sharkey on the penetration. You let him get in the paint, and he's going to make things happen for Samford. But for the Hoyas, always count on Omer Yurtseven to make something happen for them.
Washington, D.C., Capital One Arena. Samford out to an early lead on Georgetown. Both teams just 3 for 10 from the field. The Bulldogs come from Birmingham. They're in the SoCon, the Southern Conference. Scott Paget in his 6th season as the head coach, and playing some real sleeper teams in the Southern Conference. That's not exactly a conference that you can take lightly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got some teams that, if they make the NCAA tournament, you know, they've got an opportunity to, you know, upset somebody in the first round. Wofford, UNC Greensboro, who actually beat this Georgetown team earlier this season. East Tennessee State, Furman. You know, there's some pedigree, smaller schools, if you will.
From the corner, Pickett got a good shot for 3. You're at 7, another offensive rebound. Bangs around against Logan Dying. It's fouled.
And that's the detriment that Samford suffers if they continue to play zone. You're at 7, terrific at getting good position on the weak side of that glass. You know, you've got to find a way to play him man-to-man within that zone. Make sure you put a body on him as that ball is in flight.
That foul is on Brandon Austin. He has 2. Jalen Dupree has 2. And if Samford's going to mess around with foul trouble here, they're going to be in big trouble as this day goes along.
Yeah, 2 of their 3 leading scorers in foul trouble. And their 4th leading scorer, Robert Allen, not even playing today because of a thumb, as you mentioned earlier, Wayne. So it puts a lot of pressure on Josh Sharkey to get other people involved, but also to assume some of the scoring load himself, more of the scoring load.
He can handle it. He does average 17 points per game. The 4 leading scorers for Samford contribute to about 70% of the team's scoring as Tatum travels.
And that could be part of the issue right there. Got guys coming off the bench, Dante Tatum, you know, who may not be ready to assume that that scoring load. And right there you saw him just travel on an easy triple threat move.
Here at 7, had it taken away by Dye. Pickett grabs it. And now it's Allen from the top of the key. Here at 7, another offensive rebound. The putback doesn't go, though. And McClung grabs it again for Georgetown. Allen step back jumper. That floats through for Terrell Allen.
Well, you credit Yurt 7 as well as McClung with the offensive rebounds to give the Hoyas a 3rd opportunity before they can knock it down. And as I said, Samford in big trouble unless they start blocking off the glass, whether it's in man or zone.
Samford is the best rebounding team in the Southern Conference. There's no one really like Yurt 7 around. And another rebound for the big man. He already has 6-4 on the offensive side. Pick it out to McClung. He got a good look from 3. But he misses from the wing. Another offensive rebound. Pickett the putback.
Yeah, it's just the rebounders for Georgetown are just too active on the offensive glass. You know, it's so difficult to block out people who are in constant movement, trying to get themselves open to the open spot.
Jagan Mosley with the takeaway for Georgetown. Here at 7 on his way to the basket. It was blocked by Dye, and they will call a goaltend against Logan Dye.
You're looking right here, McClung with a bit of penetration. Allen just creates space. That's on the 3rd chance. And then Pickett with just an easy opportunity right there with his length to go get it and put it back. Nobody's anywhere close to him.
7-0 run for Georgetown. Really sparked by the second chance points they're getting.
Yeah, they've been pretty much having their way on the offensive glass.
Sharkey trying to set up DeAndre Thomas, but it floats out of bounds.
Yeah, Samford trying to get creative, trying to find some ways to get some easy baskets. Georgetown having none of it, and I think right now it's going to come down to good old-fashioned basketball. Josh Sharkey is going to have to utilize his other skills, quickness and scoring ability, to kind of loosen up this Hoya defense.
McClung just in front of the free throw line. Mac McClung has won the last 2 Big East Player of the Week awards. He has been outstanding lately. Last handful of games, he's averaged roughly 25 points per game. Dupree back in with 2 fouls, almost lost it. And now he does lose it, throwing it away as Allen saves it for Georgetown. Mosley had it knocked away. Padgett grabs it, and it's Samford ball. Padgett for 3. It was contested, a hand up from Javon Blair. Now Blair in traffic, throws it up and draws a foul. Well, Georgetown was down 9-8 at the last time out. Now they've got a 17-9 lead, a 9-0 run for the Hoyas. Fox at 2 Eastern.
And Providence and Enigma, you know, a lot of talent. They haven't been playing well of late. You know, a win against Texas could right the ship going into Big East play.
Javon Blair, the junior, at the free throw line. Coming off a good game against UMBC at 15 points, 7 rebounds. Blair was attempting a 3 when he was fouled, so he'll get 1 more.
Yeah, Blair's been really hot. Started the season 4 of 19, the first 7 games. And of late, though, 13 of 26 from beyond the arc coming into this game over the last 3. So he's one of those guys that is a beneficiary of penetration and good ball movement.
Sharkey was fouled. Qudus Wahab called for his first foul.
You know, I would expect now Samford to allow Josh Sharkey to really get more involved in the offense. Leading scorer, he's only taken 1 shot from the field. He's tried to get everybody else involved. But I think at this point in time, before this game clearly gets away from Samford, Sharkey's going to have to start working his magic.
Well, Samford can score. They put up 87 on Alabama. They average nearly 80 per game. Wahab over the back, and now he draws 2 fouls in a span of about 10 seconds.
And that's the kind of thing that makes Patrick Ewing shake his head. You know, Dupree's 18 feet away from the basket, and you're reaching over his shoulder. You know, that's just asking for trouble.
Thomas had a hand in his face. It was McClung who will get called for a foul on a 3-point try.
Yeah, and again, watching Sharkey, he's getting others involved because of pretty good defense by Terrell Allen. Allen at 6'2", Sharkey at 5'10". Allen's reach presents a lot of issues for Sharkey to shoot over.
You know, something that Scott Padgett said he wants to see more of from Sharkey, trusting his teammates a bit more. But this is kind of the game where Sharkey needs to almost be a one-man show in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's tried to take over, you know, penetration. He gets stopped, and then the ball gets kicked outside as you see Thomas miss another free throw. You know, those are the things that Samford can ill afford. You know, when you're already scrounging for points, not to be able to convert the free ones.
They haven't scored in the last 4 minutes. 3 chances at the line here for DeAndre Thomas. He's missed the first 2 as Pickett comes in for McClung. Wahab gets the rebound as Thomas goes 0 for 3 at the line. Mosley cross court to Blair. His 3 doesn't go. Dupree rebounds.
Good pass, good shot. Blair just not on the mark as of yet. But again, he's a streak shooter.
Dupree misses the 3, tried to get his own rebound, but it fell to Jagan Mosley. Georgetown on a 12-0 run, and a travel called against Jamarco Pickett.
Now, I wouldn't count Samford out even at this stage. Against Alabama in their last game, they were down 20. And in the second half, applied full court pressure that brought it down to 6 before they ultimately ran out of gas. But they do have the quickness. They've got the defensive instincts to get themselves back in the ball game.
Thomas will come out as Brandon Austin returns. Austin played a real good game against Alabama, scoring 21 against the Crimson Tide. Here's Sharkey trying to get loose. They ran into Terrell Allen and a rebound for Jamarco Pickett. Now it's Allen on the move toward the basket. Pickett gets it back. His three off the mark. Wahab trying for the rebound. If that's against him, will be a third foul for Wahab. And it is 3 on him. So he'll come off and your 7 will return.
And that time Dye did a nice job of putting a body on Wahab before attacking the glass, forcing the push off.
So Qudus Wahab gets into some quick foul trouble.
You know, of late, Samford has kind of stemmed the Georgetown offensive tide, but they, on the other end, they can't score.
It's been about 5 minutes since Samford has had a basket.
Good job meeting the ball by Josh Sharkey to avoid the steal.
And a quiet first half for him otherwise. Gets into the paint, sends it out. Dupree's 3 off the mark. Good box out by Mosley to get the rebound.
The shots are there for Samford, just not connecting.
Samford so far just 3 for 15. 1 of 7 from three-point range. Georgetown hasn't made a 3 yet either. Hoyas have gotten it done in the paint. We've seen Georgetown dominate inside so far in this one.
And you mentioned how Scott Padgett has asked Josh Sharkey to trust his teammates. Sharkey's created some opportunities for them. And then pretty soon he's not going to trust them any further. Another offensive rebound. It's amazing.
Here it's 7 all over it as Allen misses the jumper and Dupree grabs a defensive rebound for Samford.
There is going to come a point in time when Sharkey's going to say, I got to do this myself.
Sharkey trying to find somebody as he runs into year 7, who's about 14 inches taller than Sharkey, and it's out of bounds off of Georgetown. Catch and shoot fadeaway jumper falls for Brandon Austin, and Samford, after about 6 minutes of not scoring, back on the board.
Brandon Austin's a pretty sharp shooter, 43% from beyond the arc. And he's a guy that once he gets on a streak, it's hard to stop, using a lot of pin downs and curls to get open.
Here's 7 turnaround jumper, doesn't go from the free throw line. And Dupree gets another rebound for the Bulldogs.
Wayne, note where Yurt 7 took that shot from. They're pushing him a little bit further out of his comfort zone.
Sharkey looking for space. Austin for 3. Dye fights for the rebound, but it goes to Javon Blair. Down low to the big man. Yurt 7 gets it to bounce through.
Just as soon as I say they push him out of his comfort zone, he sets up where he needs to with no resistance whatsoever.
10 points, 7 rebounds. Already has 5 double-doubles this year, working on a 6th. And a foul called on that screen against Samford. Foul was on Dante Tatum. That's his first. The 7th turnover from Samford here in the first half. They average about 17 a game.
Yeah, that's one of the areas that Scott Padgett would love to see his team clean up, giving opponents extra opportunities.
Blair from the wing for 3, and another foul to 3-point strikes. The second time that's happened to Georgetown here in the first half.
Homer, year 7, gets an opportunity to set up where he likes it, and he makes it work. Paint, which is nothing because of Georgetown's size, length, and ability to keep them off the glass.
Georgetown right now holds a 20-11 rebounding edge in this game. Well, that's to make Patrick Ewing happy, and seeing your 7 dominate on the offensive glass. He averages 4.2 offensive rebounds per game. Already has 5 in this one.
It comes down to Samford playing a 2-3 zone, and Georgetown doing a nice job of offensive rebounding against the zone. As anybody will tell you in this game, it's much easier to rebound offensively against the zone than man, because you're getting to an area and you command that area, you're going to have more luck than not. And on the other end, Samford just not able to really get the ball in the paint. A lot of pressure on the perimeter. The penetration by Sharkey, but he can't get a shot up, so he's kicking it outside to his perimeter shooters. 4 of 17 overall, 1 of 8 from beyond the arc. Samford just not finding the range.
Georgetown 0 for 8 from three-point range as Sharkey gets inside. Nice move with the flip underneath from Sharkey.
And when you're 5'10", you got to master shots like that, man. Not that I know, being 6'10", but...
Take away from Austin. Didn't have numbers on his side, but he scores anyway, 1 against 2.
And no sooner did I say that Samford and their inability to score in the paint had a lot to do with Georgetown's length and their rebounding capability. Twice now, Samford's been able to get layups.
Well, you know how to fire people up is what I'm learning here quickly, as Pickett was fouled.
And you see Josh Sharkey again splits the double, and then with an acrobatic shot to get the layup. And then on the steal, Austin just aggressive, going straight to the basket, normally known as a three-point shooter. No hesitation taking it to the hole. And I think Scott Padgett probably talked to them during that last break and spoke of being more aggressive, putting more pressure on the Georgetown defense.
1 in the bonus for Pickett at the line. Georgetown 10 for 13 from the free throw line early on. And Pickett makes both of his.
Georgetown with 27 points. They have yet to hit a three-pointer in this game, doing most of their damage obviously inside the line as well as from the free throw line.
Sharkey sends it out. Thomas for 3, falls short. Another miss behind the three-point line for Samford. Only a decent three-point shooting team.
Another open miss as well. That's just as open a look as you're going to get.
And they shoot typically 37% from 3. Not bad. They're 1 for 9 today. Pickett goes around Logan Dye along the baseline.
That's just a good read by Dye. If Logan, not by Pickett, if Dye's going to come up and guard you, Pickett athletic enough to go around him.
Blair gets his hands on that one, helps take it away for the Hoyas. McClung picks up a loose ball and scores. How about that play from Mac McClung? The ball found him, and he took it to the rim immediately. Georgetown on a quick 6-0 run. The Hoyas out to their biggest lead.
Only one thing's...
Mac McClung and Jamarco Pickett have helped things out.
Well, opportunistic. You take a look. Pickett sees Dye coming up on him, recognizes his ability to go around him in that zone. And then McClung, just a hustle play right here. If you continue to hustle, you continue to work, you're going to get some things handed to you. And that time, McClung, just a terrific job of staying with the play, picking up the loose ball.
Hoyas with 15 points off turnovers. Samford just 4. And that kind of start here for Georgetown as Allen knocked that ball out of bounds.
Yeah, Terrell Allen, we talked about his impact on this team. Sometimes it may not show up in the score sheet, but he's done as good a job as anybody can do on a guy like Josh Sharkey. As quick as Sharkey is, made it really difficult to shoot over and difficult to get around.
Shot clock down to 5. Padgett takes it inside and misses with the left hand. You're at 7 on the rebound. McClung breezes by everybody and lays it off the glass.
Boy, McClung made it look as though the defense just standing still.
Sharkey off a screen for three. That's the second three in 10 tries for Samford. The first for Josh Sharkey.
And a little more of that, I'm sure, is what Samford is really looking for. Sharkey, a 32% shooter from three, but at a time when you need one, he can be pretty clutch.
Allen fires it inside to Pickett. Pickett gets the ball back. McClung for three. And it's good for the sophomore. McClung has 12.
A little inside action, and the thing you like about McClung, feet set, ready to shoot when he receives.
First three for Georgetown. Samford looking for an answer. Thomas can't get it. McClung handles the rebound. McClung has scored the last 7 for Georgetown. Gets rid of it, and it's Yurtseven who gets these two. Georgetown rolling up by 20. Yurtseven has 12 points with 8 rebounds. 3 from Sharkey trying to bring Samford back. And McClung gets the rebound. McClung spins around one, throws up a 3 in front of another. And now trying to grab the loose ball. He's got it. McClung feeds Pickett off the glass and good.
Well, we talk about Mac McClung and his ability to find ways not only to score, but help his teammates score. You know, he's one of those guys that sometimes just not flashy, even though he's a pretty athletic player. He just finds ways to get it done.
It's turned into a Mac attack here for the Hoyas.
Well, Mac McClung has really been a scorer of late. And one of those guys that's got that sneaky athleticism and quickness, but you know he can shoot the ball outside. Inside out, McClung ready, fires, success. You know, a lot of times they're vulnerable to getting it lopped off. Kansas right now in a battle with Villanova.
Sharkey out to Austin. The 3 drains for Brandon Austin, the Montgomery, Alabama native, who began his career at the University of Alabama before transferring to Samford.
And we've been able to see glimpses of what Samford brings to the table offensively. It's just that Georgetown, for the most part, has done a pretty good job defensively in thwarting Samford. Turnover by Georgetown there.
Another open look for Austin, and another 3 for Brandon Austin, his second in a row.
And I said earlier that Austin, even though he was missing a few threes, streak shooter, maybe the streak has started.
As a struggling actor, I need all the breaks that I can get. At Liberty Mutual.
Cut.
Liberty Line.
Cut. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Cut. Liberty. Am I allowed to riff? What if I come out of the water? Liberty Bibbity.
Cut. We'll dub it.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
A 6-0 run for the Bulldogs. Brandon Austin heating up for Samford.
Well, Brandon Austin is one of those guys, just 43% from beyond the arc. And when he gets set and gets the room, which Samford has gotten a lot, good extra pass, which allows him to be set and knock down the shot, he's going to make them. And remember, Wednesday against Alabama, Samford was down 20, utilize a pressure like this to bring it within 6 before ultimately succumbing.
Yurtseven got it from McClung. A game-high 14 for the big man.
And not only does the press turn you over, but again, in transition, you find ways to get open looks. Now, obviously, Alabama doesn't have a player of the stature of Omer Yurtseven, so, you know, Samford has to be very cognizant of the big guy in the middle once the press is broken.
Georgetown has a 22-4 edge in the paint. Sharkey hits the 3, and now the shot's starting to fall for Samford.
Good ball movement, and now no hesitation, where it seemed earlier maybe a little bit of jitters playing in the nation's capital.
Klung stops at the free throw line, misses the jumper, and Dupree fights for the rebound and gets fouled. And now the Samford bench starting to chirp a bit.
You know, there are times, Wayne, when you have to change speeds when you're playing. And right now, Georgetown trying to maintain that up-tempo at a time when Samford is starting to find their way offensively. This is when you maybe slow it down a little bit, make Samford play some defense in that half-court situation, which ultimately will have some impact on them on the other end. Instead, Georgetown's lofting them pretty quickly, giving Samford an opportunity to stop them, get fouled, come down on the other end, get some extra shots.
Dupree makes the free throw, having to carry the load inside today. Without Robert Allen, we mentioned it earlier, one of the bigs for Samford, who has started every game, not playing today because he needed thumb surgery, so he'll be out a couple of weeks trying to get ready for conference season. Logan Dye checks in. There's Allen with the thumb all bandaged up, the cast on it. He's had the surgery. They expect him to be out for the next 10 to 12 days. It had been bothering him for about a month, and finally decided to get it done so he could be ready to go once the conference games begin.
Yeah, now that's much smarter right now. Play with the half court, with the zone.
Miss from Yurt-7, and now it's Samford coming back after the rebound from Logan Dye.
Thought there was going to be another pass or two.
Out of bounds off the Bulldogs. Samford's cut it to 13. They were down by 22. We're trying to keep it interesting here as Dante Tatum will check back in. An 11-2 run for the Bulldogs near the end of this first half.
Yeah, Samford's capable of that, particularly the way they shoot the three. And that's why I say Georgetown, you know, utilize a little discretion in your half court. Slow it down a little bit. You know, take away the rhythm for Samford. Make them play some defense on the other end.
Samford 4 for their last 6 from 3.
Boy, look at that mismatch. Pickett at his size and length against Sharkey, and Sharkey gets the better of it this time.
The nation's leader in steals grabs another.
Pickett 6'7", Sharkey 5'10".
Now Sharkey is fouled by Terrell Allen, who did not agree with that call.
And Allen's a competitor. Obviously, he's been doing a relatively good job against a premier scorer like Sharkey. Disappointed that, you know, he got called for that foul. He's working as hard as he has been.
That's 3 fouls for Terrell Allen.
Earlier you mentioned that Samford can't afford to get in foul trouble because of Allen being on the bench and the short bench. Georgetown can't afford foul trouble either in a 7-man rotation in a bench that doesn't get an awful lot of time beyond those 7 men.
And with the departures of 4 players, including Akinjo and Josh LeBlanc, that's going to loom over Georgetown all season. Blair for 3, way off the mark. You're 7 right there to clean up.
I'll tell you what, Samford has had their opportunities, but they haven't paid attention to Omer Yurt-7, who has done a terrific job on the offensive glass. I mean, we know he's a great offensive rebounder, but he has just taken over and really created distance between Georgetown and Samford with his offensive rebound.
He's got his 6th double-double of the year already. 16 points, 11 rebounds. Clock winding down in the first half. Sharkey a long 2, and that goes for Sharkey as time expires here on the first half at Capital One Arena. Georgetown got out to a 22-point lead, but Samford's cut it to 13.
Yeah, Josh Sharkey finally getting started offensively. Maybe should have done that a little bit earlier, but nevertheless, he's getting his team back in it.
Halftime here in D.C. Georgetown a 44-32 lead over Samford. And it's halftime here. We'll send it to Rob Stone in the studio shortly. We'll take a look at the first half stats, sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Georgetown with a 13-point lead over Samford, and the Hoyas, Len, really dominated in the paint.
Yeah, they averaged 7 threes a game, but 1 of 11 from 3 to 12 points, 15 second chance points off of 12 offensive rebounds, 24 points in the paint, helped bridge the gap. And when you look at Samford, 5 of 15 from beyond the arc. That helped them close the gap just a little bit. With Georgetown, as you mentioned, just dominating inside.
The Bulldogs had a 13-4 run ending the first half. You're at 7 already as a double-double, 16 points, 11 rebounds. How about this? Georgetown has more offensive rebounds than Samford has defensive rebounds. The second half begins. Samford has the ball. Sharkey almost lost it.
And look at the real hard heads by Yurt 7. They recognize they've got to keep Sharkey under wraps, under control.
Interesting that the turnovers were about even in the first half, but the points off those turnovers largely favored Georgetown.
Yeah, Georgetown got in transition, did a much better job of converting.
Brandon Austin makes the three, hit a couple near the end of the first half. Samford now 5 for their last 7 from three-point range.
And we mentioned they can be deadly, and they can make a comeback. On Wednesday against Alabama, down 20, they brought it to within 6. But if you keep allowing the big fella to get that kind of position down low, you're asking for trouble. You know, Dupre, even with the foul situation, has got to find a way to push Yurt 7 away from the glass.
Austin, the 15-footer, not even close, goes out of bounds.
Another wide open look for Austin, and then Yurt 7. Look where he is, 2 feet in the paint. Dupre is no match for him down low.
Pickett helps Mosley break the full court press. Allen swings it to McClung for 3, and McClung picks up where he left off in the first half.
And see, that unto itself symbolizes the remade Hoya team. In the last 4 games, an excellent ball movement, making the extra pass, unselfishness.
Austin tries again from 3. Sharkey getting in there for the rebound, and it's tipped off Mosley out of bounds.
Again, penetration kick and that extra pass to a wide open McClung. That's excellent chemistry.
And a different looking Georgetown offense since Akinjo left. Padgett misses the 3. And the rebound flying up for it is Terrell Allen. McClung swings it down low. Pickett with the dunk plus the foul.
Combination of excellent hustle by Pickett to get down there quickly, and poor communication by Samford. No one even saw the big fella until it was too late.
Jamarco Pickett's in double figures. 3rd Hoya to reach 10 points or more today. And now he's got 11 with that free throw. Sharkey trying to make his move. It rolls out of bounds. It will belong to Georgetown. Hoya's on an 8-0 run.
Yeah, Sharkey trying to penetrate, make something happen. But too many big bodies in the paint clogging it up for him.
Austin fouling Terrell Allen as he moves up the floor.
And considering the injuries that Samford has suffered, and the fact that, you know, they've got somewhat of a short bench as well, the kind of pressure they've got to apply to get back in this ball game, I think they've gone beyond the limit Scott Padgett had set for them. And you can see it's starting to work in the opposite direction for them.
Saw Robert Allen on the sideline. With his thumb in a cast. McClung behind the back dribble, falls back, hits the jumper, and 1 for McClung.
And McClung just demonstrating that he's more than just a jump shooter. He handles it, outstanding athleticism, but more importantly, concentration.
And as soon as Samford cut the lead down to 10, Georgetown rolls it right back to 21. McClung has 18 points.
Come on, defense.
Just still sticking with the man-to-man. Georgetown doing a terrific job. Look at the hedge. Hands and length. Forcing turnovers, and that time, fortunate. Loose ball. Everybody from Georgetown started to take off. And, in fact, it wasn't a loose ball. A good job by Padgett.
Dupree was just left standing by himself under the basket. He has 6 points, and Samford cuts into a 12-0 Georgetown run. Here at 7 with the hook shot. Over Dupree. He's got 20.
And bears repeating, you've got to get your 7 out of the paint. Put a body on him, kind of walk him away from it, or pick him up early and not allow him to get around you. But if you allow him within 10, 15 feet inside the paint, both feet in the paint, and especially Dupree, who's got 3 fouls, you're asking for trouble.
It's funny, we asked Patrick Ewing earlier if he expected a big game from Yurtseven today, and he said he expects one every game from Omer Yurtseven.
And that's because Omer Yurtseven is that talented. You know, let's face it, a terrific player at NC State, had to sit out in the transfer, and has really come on strong this season. Remember, he's an international player from Turkey, and he's had experience against grown men playing as a youngster with the Turkish national team. So it's not like he's some fresh face coming into this game. He knows what he's doing.
And now he gets an assist out to Jagan Mosley, who hits the 3. Mosley steals, puts it right back up, and scores again.
And what you saw essentially was the mental fatigue Samford is suffering right now.
Sharkey kicks it out. 3 rattles out. Padgett fights for the loose ball, and he's fouled by Yurtseven.
Well, one of the things in order to be a winning team, you got to have killer instinct. And that means not only do you knock down shots and score, but you take nothing for granted. And a terrific job there by Jagan Mosley. We get the march.
Might be some repeat victims even by the time it rolls around. Logan Padgett at the free throw line, the son of Samford head coach Scott Padgett. Asking Scott earlier about coaching his son. He has certainly taken well to the opportunity to just be around his kid every day, something that doesn't always happen in this life of basketball.
Samford again looking to apply some full court pressure, try to get back into this one. But as we said, there's only a certain limit that you can have before a team starts to run out of gas. Here's Yurtseven once again inside the paint. That time comes up short, but he still gets it where he wants it. And that's what you have to do if you're going to defend a guy like that. Make him uncomfortable, not allow him to get the ball where he'd like.
Sharkey faked a pass, took it to the reverse side, and laid it off the glass.
And it looks unnatural, but I guarantee you he works on that shot every day.
Here's 7 with the drive to the basket. He's got 22 points to go with 12 rebounds.
And the Bears repeating, multi-skilled Omer Yurtseven.
Sharkey into a double team, gets fouled.
Yeah, Josh Sharkey, as we mentioned, leading scorer for this team.
Georgetown's third.
One of the outstanding players in the Southern Conference at 5'10". And then you see pretty drive by a 7-footer. There's Yurtseven handling the ball on the wing.
Sharkey at the free throw line. It's believed that he could be the fastest man in all of college basketball from court to court, as he can really fly from one side to the other. Well, a 5'10". He's from Philadelphia. Somehow made his way down to Birmingham to play in the SoCon for Scott Padgett.
Well, you mentioned at 5'10", Scott Padgett said, as you see, a terrific move by Mac McClung Scott Padgett said that if Josh Sharkey at 5'10 was 2 inches taller, he probably wouldn't have been available to him. We would have had a nationwide hunt to recruit Josh Sharkey.
Dupree on the second try gets that one to go. McClung gets bumped into, and Sharkey called for that foul.
And that's a tough call because McClung trying to do a little bit too much. Sharkey had him stopped, but the contact forced the official to make the call.
McClung has 20 points. He and Yurtseven both into the 20s.
And speaking of officials, Jeff Clark, Wally Rutecki, and Tony Chiazza, terrific job by them today. You know, keeping the game obviously under control, allowing the guys to play. And we haven't had to say one word about it.
That is true. That's the best compliment you can give the referees is when you don't talk about them, and we haven't even brought them up today. But they're here.
Doing a fine job.
Here at 7, trying to back down Dupree. And a nice little floating jumper for Yurtseven, who has put up 24 and 13 seemingly effortlessly today.
Yeah, and that last move was, again, a demonstration of his skills. Pump fake, and still able to get the shot that he wanted on balance.
Sharkey trying to clear out. Leaves it for Dupree under the glass. He couldn't finish. Loose ball picked up by McClung, leading him to a fast break, but he was fouled as DeAndre Thomas thought he had a clean strip from behind.
And
Foul number 5.
talk about Omar Yurtseven, again, backing his man down. Little pump fake, stays under control, squares up, shoots it well. And then Mac McClung, again, hustle. We talk about him being an opportunist. I think he was trying to prepare himself for an acrobatic dunk and got the ball stripped, but he was fouled.
Yurtseven comes off. Wahab enters the game again, playing with 3 fouls. We didn't see him a whole lot in the first half. McClung, Big East Player of the Week the last 2 weeks in a row. First Hoya to do that since Otto Porter.
And I think Patrick Ewing doing a terrific job of mixing some of his players in, giving more time. Wahab, certainly a guy he's going to have to count on in Big East play to help with Yurtseven on the front line, giving him more time.
Here's Wahab with the ball. A hook shot that just rolled out.
Yeah, Wahab against UMBC last Tuesday, almost a double-double, 10 points, 9 rebounds.
Austin hits another 3. That's his 4th of the game. Austin almost had a steal. Wahab with some butterfingers there. That ball just rolled out of bounds.
Yeah, you could see him. He was all so excited. Looked like he wanted to dunk the ball before he caught it. He took his eye off it.
That was the first turnover in the second half for Georgetown. No answer, though, from Samford as Pickett gets the rebound.
Much different than the first half when Georgetown continually rushed and tried to play up-tempo even when Samford was making a comeback. Now taking their time, looking to execute, force Samford to play defense, and getting some pretty darn good-looking shots.
Javon Blair makes the 3. The first man that committed to Patrick Ewing when he took over as the head coach at Georgetown. And we've seen a different Hoya team here recently.
Well, 4-game win streak, you take a look at the difference in play. And Terrell Allen particularly, you know, he's been the guy, he and Mosley on the defensive end and, you know, doing things that don't show up on the stat sheet. Allen with the assists, getting people involved. You know, McClung and Yurtseven have been the main beneficiaries of Allen's unselfishness and his basketball IQ. And it just makes Georgetown a different team than they were in November.
Get it down to Pickett. The jumper doesn't go. Austin rebounds. Now Samford on the move again with Sharkey. Flip to Austin, who's made 4 threes. Takes it inside, this time with the finger roll. Georgetown calls a timeout, trying to stop the recent momentum from Samford. The Hoyas still enjoying a big lead, up by 23 on the Bulldogs.
Y'all gotta wake up. Wake up. Wake up. What are you doing on pick and roll? Are you calling it out? I'm the one calling it out. You gotta get low. Do not bump him. Move your feet. Don't let him split you.
Well, at the beginning of the telecast, I talked about the Hoyas trying to develop confidence and chemistry with this game. Also, as Patrick Ewing said, you got to develop good habits. You know, with conference play beginning December 31st against Providence, it's important that you learn to execute regardless of the score. And that's what coaches are for. And Patrick Ewing getting it done.
Georgetown trying to get their 5th consecutive victory. Only got one more non-conference game after this. As Pickett gets fouled, he'll be at the free throw line. After a timeout on the floor, Georgetown trying to put away Samford. Jamarco Pickett at the free throw line for Georgetown. He has 11 points. The Hoyas about 80% from the free throw line today. They are the best free throw shooting team in the Big East. Right around 77.5% for the year.
And if they can maintain that pace, that's going to pay dividends close game situations. You know, that's something you never really associated with past Georgetown teams.
Logan Dye with the hook shot. He likes to use that as he puts it up over Wahab.
And that hook shot has some range. It had to be at least 10 feet.
Mosley called a timeout as he was double teamed. As the Hoyas used their last timeout. Samford still has 3 remaining. Well, college basketball, we talked about all the number 1s getting beaten. It has not left many undefeated teams. Auburn is the only team from a Power 5 conference that is still undefeated at 9-0. The rest of them, Liberty, San Diego State, and Duquesne.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl doing a nice job with a team that, you know, lost some significant players from that Final Four team. And, you know, as time goes on, it's not going to be any undefeated teams in college basketball. I can almost assure you of that.
I haven't seen too many teams even flirt with it over the last 5 or 10 years. Villanova had a great run a few years ago, getting somewhat close. Holiday spirit here in D.C. Gonna get you one of those hats that we just saw.
Oh, boy. I'm not good with hats, man. I'm good with beards, though. Right?
Yeah, well, his is a bit longer than yours. Same color.
Don't expect to see mine that long.
Good, well, you never know. Maybe post-retirement, kind of like David Letterman did. Georgetown's got the lead over Samford, trying to get their 5th consecutive victory. The Hoyas averaging 85 points during their 4-game win streak. They could get into that neighborhood again today. A new look offense since the departures of James Akinjo, Josh LeBlanc, and a couple others. They lost 4 players in all. Step back jumper misses from Pickett.
Well, Samford persistent in that pressure, even though Scott Padgett told us that they would only do it about 15 minutes in a game, probably not believing that they'd be down this far and have to press the whole way. But you know what? It builds stamina. That's one of the issues that he had because of the injuries suffered at the beginning of the season and throughout this first part of the season, he hasn't had enough guys in practice to be able to really work on things like this, and hence they haven't really had the stamina to be able to consistently press, which is what he wants to do. Remember, we talked to him and asked him, because he played for two terrific coaches, Rick Pitino and Tubby Smith, and he said that he takes a little bit from each of them, particularly the pressure schemes from Pitino and from Tubby Smith.
It was with Tubby Smith once he took over for Pitino in 1998 that Scott Padgett helped Kentucky win a national championship. He was a two-time All-Final Four player. And that calendar hit March. Scott Padgett did some big things at Kentucky.
Yeah, helped him be a first-round pick, 28th for Utah Jazz. You know, there's 6 degrees of separation. Pat Ewing, obviously a national champion.
That's Qudus Wahab, open under the basket for the dunk.
You learn from your mistakes. Remember, a few possessions ago, in the same position, he fumbled it out of bounds. This time, saw the ball in his hands, and then finished with the flourish.
Sharkey around the screen, misses the three, and Logan Dye is there for the cleanup and the foul.
And, of course, like a freshman, Wahab can give you a highlight reel stuff, and on the other end, lose his man and allow him to score. And that's a freshman for you.
Wahab goes out after committing his 5th foul, so he is fouled out with 3 points. Logan Dye makes it a 2-point play only as he can't hit the free throw. Georgetown still with a big lead. Wahab, 6'11" freshman. You know, we know Yurt 7 came to Georgetown because he wanted to learn from Patrick Ewing and play with Ewing as a big man. Wahab, the freshman, trying to develop as a travel is called there. But as a big man yourself, what is it like to have a coach like Patrick Ewing that can help you come along in a way that really only Patrick can?
Well, absolutely. You have confidence in what he says because he's been where you want to go. And so anything that he says, you know, you can take it to the bank. And that's why guys are probably more attuned to listening and working on those things as opposed to any coach. And when you look across college basketball, how many truly accomplished big men do you see on benches to be able to teach young bigs? Very few. I mean, both of these teams are fortunate from a big man standpoint to have guys like Ewing and Padgett to be able to teach.
Great pass from Mac McClung, finding Yurt 7 on his way to the basket. And McClung can just do a bit of everything. He has 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Sharkey just throws it up and makes it.
Over the outstretched reach of Jamarco Pickett, but that's what Sharkey can do.
He has 20 points. Pickett a 15-footer. He was wide open for it. He has 14.
Yeah, Pickett with tremendous upside, his length, athleticism. Maybe for the next level, he's going to have to put on a few pounds, I think, to withstand the type of physical play over the course. But he's got an opportunity. But Georgetown not letting up, showing everything they have. McClung on the screen and roll with the blind over the shoulder pass to Yurt 7. Talking about developing chemistry. These guys have it.
Georgetown with an 80-58 lead over Samford. The Hoyas have been dominant inside. The fast break points, the points in the paint. And Omer Yurt 7 has 26 points to go with 13 rebounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Georgetown's been able to find their big man who's been able to get position pretty much anywhere he wanted inside the paint. That's been pretty much the difference here.
Georgetown shooting 70% in the second half until that miss by Jamarco Pickett. Austin takes it in, and Yurt 7 fouls him.
That foul was called on number 44 for the Hoyas. Omer Yurt 7. It's his third. sixth for the team. 2 shots to Samford.
Brandon Austin, former member of the Crimson Tide, at the free throw line. Southern, 17 wins last year. They've had 2 winning seasons in their last 3 years after the program went 10 years without even one. So Scott Padgett has him moving in the right direction. Bit of a tough conference, though, as we talked about earlier. East Tennessee State picked to finish first in the SoCon. Samford expected to finish 5th. At least that's how preseason projections went.
Yeah, but despite this type of game where obviously Samford not able to really do the things they'd like, there's still some bright spots. You know, Brandon Austin, this is his 4th consecutive game with 15 or more points. Sharkey has done well, considering being focused on the defensive end.
Coming up next, it's action from the Orange Bowl Basketball Classic. Utah State will tangle with the Florida Gators. All tips off next on FS1 and the Fox Sports app.
Yeah, Florida.
Terrell Allen at the free throw line. Misses the first.
Yeah, Florida was looked upon as, you know, one of the top teams in the nation. Suffered a couple of setbacks early, but this one guy, Kerry Blackshear, formerly of Virginia Tech, you know, who transferred to Florida this year, was expected to do exactly what he's doing right there, giving them a big lift. I got a feeling we'll be hearing from Florida as time goes on, and particularly in March.
Shot clock inside of 10. Sharkey trying to find some open space, dribbles the ball out of bounds.
Well, that's Sharkey's 7th turnover. That's one of the things that they were hoping he'd be able to work on this year, to decrease those turnovers, but he handles the ball so often and is really counted upon to create offense for Samford. That's a lot of pressure to put on the young man, especially when teams game plan for him, as Georgetown obviously has.
Here at 7, turnaround jumper along the baseline, bounces through. He's got 28 points, his career high. 29 came while he was at NC State against Clemson a couple of years ago. Sharkey almost turned it over again. As Padgett gets fouled.
Well, Yurt 7 is one of those guys, as we said, really sets up where he wants. That time, Dupre able to push him off the paint, but nevertheless, Yurt 7 with that touch. And obviously with his size, able to get a good look at the basket, playing with a lot of confidence right now. And these games, this is the second of 3 non-conference games before Big East Conference opener. And this is when you want to build that confidence. You want to get guys rolling. And right now, there is absolutely no doubt Omer Yurt 7 is playing his best basketball.
Georgetown plays again next Saturday against American. And then it's off to Providence New Year's Eve for the Big East opener.
It's 2 double-doubles in a row for Yurt 7, UMBC in this game. Alley-oop.
Long just tossed it in himself.
I thought that was a hoop.
It was an alley-oops, and it just went in. Here's Sharkey. He misses the 3, and a rebound for Pickett. Georgetown has reached 85 points. That's been their average over the last 4 games, all wins. McClung falling back, misses that one a little strong. And it goes out of bounds off of 2 Bulldogs who are fighting with each other for the rebound.
Yeah, Mac McClung, another one of those guys, supremely talented on the offensive end. Kind of looked like an alley-oop, but you could see his eyes were on the basket, not on his teammate. And that's a scorer's mentality right there.
He's got 23 points. He put up 33 in a game earlier this year at Oklahoma State. Scored 26 against Syracuse, so he can certainly fill it up quickly. Averaging over 15 per game entering today. Pickett goes around Padgett. And it's Padgett who saves it for the rebound on Samford's side. Sharkey tripped up by Yurtseven, and a foul is called. Well, the Big East so far, conference games have yet to begin, but DePaul and Butler near the top. Certainly the surprises of the conference. The Blue Demons are 11-1. They've looked outstanding in the beginning of the season. Seton Hall's been tripped up a few times at 7-4. And we'll see how it shakes out once conference play begins in about a week or so, week and a half.
You saw down there around 6th or 7th, Villanova Wildcats, who right now are in a battle with #1 Kansas.
Sharkey has 20 points, now 21.
The Big East may be stronger than people expected, particularly when teams are expected to finish at the bottom, demonstrating the strength that they have. I say most leagues, you're as strong as your so-called weakest links.
A new career high for Yurtseven. First time he's had 30 in a game. Sharkey drives and he gets blocked by Yurtseven. Now McClung on the drive to the basket. Left it short as Padgett rebounds.
And you wonder, is there anything Yurtseven can't do? Averages almost 2 blocks per game to go with the scoring and the rebounding.
Mosley gets that one to drop through. Count the basket plus the foul.
He scores, he rebounds. You know, he's got obviously persistence. And then on the defensive end, does a nice job of holding his position, not allowing the little fella to fake him out, and gets a piece.
A game Yurtseven has had 30 points, 15 rebounds. He's got a lot of floor time today with Wahab fouling out in only 6 minutes, so Yurtseven's had to carry the bulk at the 5 today, but he has been enormous down low. Austin goes around Blair with the left hand. Brandon Austin's had a good game. He's got 21. Pickett with the jumper. Yurtseven, another rebound, 2 more points. 32 and 16.
And when you're playing like that, it seems like everything comes so easily. In the right place at the right time. That's all part of being hot.
Sharkey with an extra pass. Dupree gets blocked by the 7-footer. That's the 4th block of the game for Yurtseven. McClung over Dupree. The jumper good. And McClung has 25. What a performance by those two. McClung and Yurtseven have led the way for Georgetown.
We mentioned it before. Regardless of the score, you keep executing. You keep putting forth the effort. And we see Omer Yurtseven staying involved. And Mac McClung, not to be undone, is trying to get a little bit himself.
Here in the red bag. A season high 94 points for Georgetown today, and they've gotten 2 monster contributions from Omer Yurtseven and Mac McClung.
And most of these guys obviously continue to put forth the effort. McClung opportunistic, scoring with hustle and intelligence, and Omer Yurtseven just dominant, getting where he wants to be on the floor in his spots. No wasted effort. The senior and the sophomore led Georgetown all this afternoon.
32 points, 17 rebounds, both career highs. He has 4 blocks in the game. McClung has 25 points, a career high 7 rebounds and 5 assists. Austin's had a good day as well. That's his 5th triple. He has 24 points.
Austin with 24, Sharkey with 22. Dupree, their 3rd leading scorer, foul trouble most of the day, and then obviously another leading scorer, Allen, who averages about 13 points a game. not dressed today because of a thumb injury. So Samford came in here a bit shorthanded. The Stars have acquitted themselves reasonably well. But Georgetown just too much. Too big, too strong, too dominant.
DeAndre Thomas for three comes up short. He's had a rough day, 0 for 6. Blair swings it up and scores. Javon Blair's in double figures. He has 11. Sharkey got fouled. Ego Hefe called for that one. Now coming up for Georgetown, one more tune-up. They'll have American a week from today. And then it's off to Providence New Year's Eve. That's the conference opener. 3 of the first 4 on the road in conference play for the Hoyas.
Well, I'll have an opportunity to witness their final tune-up in American and their second Big East game at Seton Hall, who, by the way, as we mentioned earlier, a terrific job against University of Maryland. You know, without Mahmoud Kellis-Vili and, of course, without Miles Powell, still found a way, played terrific defense and found a way to score against the Terps.
J.P. Robinson enters the game for Samford. Georgetown has brought in some of its subs as well, including George Mirasan. Chuma Zingi is in the game. And Javon Blair missing that one. Ego Hefe gets the bucket. The first in Ego Hefe's career.
And we were witness. I'll tell you what, though, he's one of those guys, Patrick Ewing says, it's a project, but has tremendous upside. You can see his size and athleticism. And believe it or not, these are guys that are going to be called on during Big East play. Nice job getting to that weak side corner. Any offensive rebound, if you're young people out there, the opposite weak side corner of the glass, you command that area, you're going to get your share of offensive rebounds. And Ego Efe did a terrific job getting there.
6'11" freshman from Nigeria, comes from the NBA Academy in Africa, one of 6 NBA-run academies throughout the world. They just opened that one in Africa about a year ago. Ego Efe had an opportunity to play there last year, and now he comes to Georgetown a little bit better for it.
It's such a great opportunity for young people around the world. Here he is. He gets a chance to play big-time college basketball, go to an outstanding university to get a degree.
A miss from Jaden Robinson. He'll be at the free throw line after being fouled by J.P. Robinson. Jaden Robinson, a local kid. He's from Baltimore. He's got an opportunity here to put Georgetown into triple digits, but he misses that first free throw. Last time Georgetown scored 100, last December 29th against Howard. They've got 99 now. Georgetown's going to get to triple digits. This is probably their last chance. Blair swings it out. That's Mirasan. The jumper missed. Ego Hefe grabs the offensive rebound. Robinson takes it in. He can't get it. Another chance. Blair on the offensive board. That putback doesn't go. Blair once again. Ego Hefe. It won't go in. It still doesn't. And no. That was 7 tries to get to 100, and it wouldn't go down.
It might have been the most excitement we've had since the early part of the game.
And there's Ego Efe with a block for good measure. Georgetown falls short of 100, but they get their 5th consecutive win. They beat Samford 99-71 here in D.C. as the Hoyas get their 9th victory. And Omer Yurtseven, Len, was unbelievable today.
He certainly was. And Georgetown, once again, building chemistry and confidence as they get ready to open Big East in 12-31.
99-71 the final for Len.